Hey guys, Elkjaer here, and in this video I will be making a tutorial on how you can perform all the current skips and shortcuts in Horizon Zero Dawn speedruns. And this will both include the main game and the Frozen Wilds DLC, in case you are interested in those speedruns as well. And there will be links and timestamps in the description of this video, so you can skip ahead to a specific skip that you want to see performed. So hopefully this video is going to be a great help to you. Keep in mind that if you're watching this video a little bit further into the future, most likely there will have been new skips and shortcuts found. So the best way to stay updated is to join the Horizon Zero Dawn Speedrun Discord. There will be a link to that in the description as well, where other runners, including myself, will be able to help and guide you learning the speedrun. And another thing is, you can also check out the current world record or any newly released run of the game, which most likely will have new skips included, in case, again, you're watching this a little bit into the future compared to the release date of this video. So hopefully you guys will enjoy, and hopefully you will learn something from this video. But before we get into the actual skips of the run, there's just a few basic things I just want to show off here before we move into the actual runs. So there's these climbing spots that Aloy will grab onto, and they will come across a few of them in your speedruns. Now, if you just go for a normal jump across here, Aloy will grab onto the climbing spot and have to climb up. If there were multiple climbing spots in this position here, stacked on top of each other, most likely she will grab onto the bottom one. Now there's a way to prevent this, using a technique I personally call the roll jump. Essentially is just where you roll right off the edge and jump, and as you can see you get enough momentum to carry over and skip the entire section without having to grab onto the climbing spot. So that's just a small little trick that's gonna save you a lot of time when you go for skips. Right there, as you just saw there, she grabbed onto the bottom one. So yeah, use roll jumping to carry your momentum through and skip some of the climbing spots throughout the game. And another technique that will be used in some of the skips you're going to be seeing in this video is to cancel falling damage animation, which basically just skips like a 2 to 3 second animation when Aloy takes falling damage. So basically what you want to do is when you jump off a cliff here, you want to aim in your weapon when you land, or basically right before you land, and then hold it until you're fully landed. This will skip the falling damage animation that normally occurs when you fall from a height, for a certain height. However, keep in mind that even if you perform this, you will still take the falling damage you normally would have took. The only difference is you will skip the animation. And one last thing here that I just want to point out before we get into the skips is I will be performing all the skips in this video using the standard outfit instead of the Shield Reaver, just to prove that all these skips are possible using the regular armor. You do not need the Shield Reaver to tank any of the damage from these skips. So keep that in mind. And another thing, just to quickly point out, some of these skips might not be viable for certain categories. For example, you might not want to use a skip in any percent, especially any percent ultra hard, where you take a lot of damage right before a fight maybe, because you probably won't have the ability to heal yourself up before the fight. So just take that into account, that you might not want to use a skip that will cause you to lose a lot of health right before a fight, if you're in a certain category or certain situation where you don't have the ability to heal yourself. Without further ado, enjoy the skips and hopefully you learn something from it. So there's a small skip you can do right here in the childhood section. First here with the Watcher, you have to throw the rock near Rust, which is pretty standard. But once you get over here to this rock, hold in another throw, but don't throw it. And you can cancel it with L2. Now what that does is it speeds up the Watcher and Rust into this fight. So just simply hold the throw and then cancel the throw. You can do it almost immediately. But that will simply speed up the Watcher there. Now the second skip is right after here with the Strider.
Harvest a kill so I can use
as soon as you make the arrows here, you want to be going straight for the tall grass that is right ahead here. So roll up to this rock, then start crouching and get into the tall grass. And as soon as Russ says, let's put these arrows to good use, or something like that. Basically the conversation that happened right when I did that shot. You can hit the strider. Now what this does is, as soon as you skip this cutscene, it's going to move the game ahead to when you're already in this fight with the strider.
The cat is still on its...
Again!
And so thereby you don't have to wait for Rust and you can move on.
You did well today, but you have much...
So here in Mother's Heart, right after you talk to Aaron and Olin and on your way to the blessing ceremony, this is going to be a faster way to get there. So what you want to do is immediately after the conversation, you want to jump over any NPCs that are in the way and then roll over here to the top of this cliff. Keep in mind the NPCs are random and not always in the same spot there, but just look out for that. And then you want to roll down the side of the cliff here and make sure you're hugging the cliff on the way down so you hit some of the cliff parts that are sticking out to avoid taking falling damage from immediately going to the bottom level. So like this. Hit some stuff on the way down till you get to this spot to avoid the falling damage and also the falling damage animation that kind of stuns you for like 1 to 2 seconds. And after that you want to continue on to the right here until you get down to this rock down here. And then you want to try to aim yourself to jump over to this rock I'm pointing at right here. So like this. And then you can jump once and continue on to the blessing ceremony. Now, should you land on the bottom rock down here, it doesn't matter too much. It just means you need to jump twice or something like that to get up. But keep in mind it doesn't matter if you land on the bottom one. However, should you land in the water, because you didn't jump far enough or you slipped off the cliff or whatever reason, like so, you will know that it's not impossible to get up here on the right side. A quick way to back it up is in case you land here, you can kind of squeeze your way up this crack. It's a little hard to do. Not entirely sure how to pull it off, but it is possible to kind of squeeze your way up this crack. But the easiest way to back it up is to simply go around to the back here, where you can just jump up and start the blessing ceremony from the back side, in case you were to fall in the water. And here I'm just going to show it in full at full speed. So right after the conversation, jump over the NPCs, roll on over here to the top of this cliff, roll down the side and make sure you hit something on the way down, and continue on to the right here till you get to the bottom rock, jump across, jump once, and then you can continue on to the blessing ceremony. So this is right after the blessing ceremony, and this is the last cutscene of it. So as soon as you skip this last cutscene, you want to start running and then immediately do a 180-degree turn to the right and then jump over the fence. It's going to look something like this. Skip the cutscene, start running, jump over the fence, and then as soon as you're in the water, you can start rolling towards the ceremony, or towards the Hunter's Lodge. And here is just a thing I want to point out to make the skip a little more consistent, to make sure you always hit something before you land in the water, again to avoid the falling damage and falling damage animation. So what you want to do is when you turn around in the running motion, you see this rock here on the ground. This is what I personally use to time my jump. So as soon as I'm on the line with this rock, so when I'm in a position like this, I hit the jump button and jump over the fence while running. And that pretty much sets it up so that every time I do that, I'm gonna land on something before I hit the water. And that just allows me to cancel out the falling damage and continue on. And here's just a thing to look out for. Make sure when you turn around here after the ceremony that you don't jump too far to the left over the fence, because the water is a little bit deeper on the left side. So if you land over here like this, plus you take falling damage, but as you can see here, the water is deep enough to trigger Aloy's swimming animation. So if you land too far to the left in the water, you will have to swim for a little bit before you can get to shore, and that will cost you a few seconds. So make sure you land, show it for this side, make sure you land more on the right side than on the left side to avoid the swimming animation. So this is right here in the proving, when you get to the spot right here. You want to be jumping over to these two gaps over here, or grabbing spots.
Good.
And you want to do that by going through the gap that's in between these two fences here. So what you want to be doing is as soon as you climb up, You want to be running and then jump and turn your camera to face the wall. Now the reason why you want to turn your camera so it's kind of parallel to the wall is it to make sure that Aloy is going to grab onto these grabbing spots or climbing spots 100% of the time. Because sometimes if you don't turn your camera and jump with a camera that is something like this, there's a big chance that you won't grab onto it and just simply fall to a death. So keep that in mind when you do this jump.
Come on now.
Now there's another skip you can do right here that saves a second or two over the alternate or over the other method I just showed. But this one is very risky, but I thought I'd put it in the video as well just to show it off. What you want to do is you want to jump over to this thing right here, this kind of stack of rocks here. And then from a running motion you can actually grab onto this. Oh, and she jumped back. But you get the point. You can jump over there from that spot. But keep in mind it's very risky and you have to stand on the very top one here and get like a running motion going before you jump over. And doing it in a run where it's very fast is very risky. But if you want to practice for it and put it into your runs, you can totally do that. I just wanted to show it that it is possible. Alright, so this is going to be the proving skip, which is one of the harder skips to do on the run, so I do recommend you practice this a bit before attempting it in the run. And there's a few parts to the skip, so bear with me when we go over this. So when you get to this spot in the proving, you want to be jumping across the lock right here, because it's faster to jump across it. You can also roll across it, whatever you prefer. I just find jumping to be the easier. And then when you get to this spot, you want to jump up here and then you want to be running off the edge right here. But keep in mind you don't want to be hitting any of the two elevated spots that are either on the right or the left here. Because you want to be landing down in the... You want to be landing in the tall grass that is down here. But if you hit one of the elevated spots, you might not get far enough and land in this little patch down here, which is just high enough to kill you. So make sure you land in the tall grass right here. So it's gonna be look like something like this. You get back here and then you run off the edge and then zoom in when you land with your weapon to cancel the falling damage. Now once you're in this area here, it's very important that you are careful not to be too far to the left or too far to the right. Because there are a death wall on either side and you're closest to the left one. The one to the right is a bit further off. So just be careful you're not too far to the left, otherwise you're gonna hit the death wall and die once you're in this grass. And also you're gonna be low on health if you perform this skip without the shield weaver. But I'm just gonna show you right now. I'm gonna show you a little later on in this skip why health doesn't really matter too much. So you can just continue with the health you have right here. No need to heal you right here. So what you wanna do is, after that, you wanna jump up here. So you get up on top of this arm. And then you can continue onward here by rolling across the arm. Now, this is the normal way through the proving if you just continue straight forward. This is a lot easier than doing the skip where you go to the left here that I'm going to be showing now. So keep in mind, if you're not that comfortable with this skip, which is a pretty tough part of it, you can just continue onward. Taking the left route here only saves 5 seconds, so whatever you're comfortable with, do that until you have practiced this a little bit more. So when you get to this spot, what do you want to do? So when you get here, you want to be jumping over here. So you land in this spot. Then you want to be jumping on top of this rock. Again, once you go up the side here, I'm just going to point out there are death walls on either side. So make sure you're not too far to the right or too far to the left going up here. Yeah, once you're on top of this, you want to jump once. Then you want to jump twice. And then one more time so you get up to this little elevated spot here. And when you're going to be doing this, this tree is most likely going to be in the way of your camera, so you can't really see where you're going. This is why you need to practice this. So yeah, the tree is going to block your vision, but once you're done the jumps to get up to this spot, you need to be carrying the momentum here so you can run up the side of this cliff here, so you can jump across to here, and then jump on to, and then jump around this last one here. Show you again, like this. So you end up here, then you would want to go down here and then continue up on to theirs where the proving starts. But a thing I just need to point out here is that when you're down here, if you don't have enough momentum, you cannot run up the side of this wall. So you need to be going up the side, or doing the jumps up the side of the mountain pretty fast. Otherwise you're not gonna have momentum when you get to this spot. The way you can back it up though is to slightly move back on the rock here, so you can run a little bit. So you can run up the side here and then jump up here. So in case you don't get enough speed here,
Going down fast.
in case you don't have enough speed, just simply walk back to the edge of the rock so you can run up it, or get a running motion going before you go up. Also, you see this kind of black line here? You need to be running up this, the right side of that black line, because if you run up, it's impossible to run up the side of this one. So just be careful of that. And again, as I said, put some practice into this, because you're most likely going to be doing this blind due to the tree behind us. So jump twice and then try to run up the right side, even though you can't see it. Alright, let's just back it up here. Good. And once you're up here, you jump twice. Then when you get here, you can roll off down here. And then you want to get up here. Now the last important thing about this skip is this last spot here. You want to jump onto this rock and then immediately jump onto this rock and turn to the left. Or not on this rock, but somewhere in between it, as I'm gonna show you here. And it's very important you turn to the left. This avoids a loading screen for the proving, and also it sets up your checkpoint for the proving, because when you jump to the left you're gonna hit a death wall, and then it's obviously gonna transport you back to your checkpoint. And when you jump to the left, there's a checkpoint for the proving to start. So that's why I want to jump to the left and not straight ahead or not to the right. Otherwise, when you hit the death wall, you're going to be sent all the way back to the rappel. So what you want to do is jump up here, and then immediately to the left. And that's going to start the proving here. Now the important thing is, even if you had used the shield weaver and were at full health, as soon as you start the proving, notice that your health is on 200, or only 1 bar of health. And it's always going to be like that when you do this skip. So you want to keep that in mind, that if you perform this skip, you're going to be low health on the start of the proving. It matters a lot in any percent. New Game Plus, it wouldn't matter too much, because you're going to have the shield weaver. And after you kill the first 4 guys here, you could just heal yourself up. But just keep that in mind. If you do the skip, you're going to be low on health. So back here at the start of the proving skip, I just want to show an easier method to do the first part, in case you're not comfortable with running off the side of the cliff. So the easier way you can do this, and this is also safer, because you're not going to lose as much health doing this, is jump on top of this big rock up here. And then you want to aim in your weapon when you fall down. So the game kind of slows down. If you have the skill learned, you might not have that if you're doing any percent, but in New Game Plus you might have it. And then you want to try to land on top of this, right here. As you can see, when you zoom in while falling, it's easier to control your fall. And then you can roll off and land right here, and then walk into the bushes and continue the way like before. It's just an easier and safer way to do the skip, if you're more comfortable with that.
I've trained my whole life.
And again here, I just want to show it without zooming in your weapon. It is still possible to do, it's just a little bit more tricky. Just simply walk off the edge and try to hit the spot here on the way down. In case you don't have the skill learned, where a game slows down while you're falling or jumping, you can still do the other way around here. You just have to be a little bit more careful when you go off the edge.
They had a tribe, but I had the one.
So again here, I just want to show what the skip looks like at full speed.
I'm gaining.
You want to be jumping across the log, because it's faster. Jump on top of this little grass spot, run off, zoom in before you land. So you cancel out the falling damage animation. Then continue up the arm here.
My whole life for this.
Turn to the left and jump on top of this rock, and jump twice off this cliff. Then run off the right side here, and then jump across like this, and roll down. And then continue up here, and then you gotta be careful with the last part here, because you wanna be jumping up here, and then immediately turn to the left. And if you have done it correctly, you're gonna be right in the proving like this. Alright, so this is the skip right before the demon or the first corruptor fight. Right after you have exited Alma Mountain, you want to continue down here. Then go to the right of the normal path here. You want to squeeze in between these two things. Then when you get here, you want to walk off the edge here. And then as soon as you get to like that spot right there where it's kind of brown on this little crack here, as soon as you hit that spot after walking off the edge here, you want to roll to the right. Or kind of towards the right side. It's going to look something like this. Get down and then roll when you hit that spot. Then you can continue on to the demon fight. And right here, I'm just going to show you again how it looks like when you do it in full speed. So squeeze through there, then continue up here, get to the spot, walk off, and then roll. You hit the certain spot, and continue on. Like that. And here, I just want to show an easier method to get down the side of the cliff here if you're not comfortable with the first one. So instead, go on the left side of this rock formation here, and go in between these two totem poles. And you want to roll down to this spot, and then you can roll to the left, and roll down like that. That's just an easier method to do the side down the cliff there, in case you're not comfortable with the first one.
Jeez.
So now we're gonna do the skip to get into Maker's End early. So what you want to do is first get to the right side of this tank and use this little path here that I'm gonna be doing. It's just gonna avoid having any of the enemies spot you. It's also the fastest way, which works out fine, but none of the enemies should spot you. Maybe that little watcher on the left, but he's not gonna have time to do anything. Then you wanna get on the left side here and jump up this side. It's not possible to jump up on the right side of those rocks. On the left side you can easily do it. Now you wanna jump up on that little piece of wood and then onto the middle beam here. You wanna be standing on the metal beam. As you can see, it's kinda elevated on the right side here. So make sure you're standing on that and not on the slightly lower path. As you can see, it's just slightly higher. Once you get up there and stand right here, you want to hold your camera so it's kind of parallel to the wall. It's going to make it a little bit easier to make the jump around and up to that platform right here on the left. Like so. Once we're up here, you can then continue on until you get here to a spot where you want to jump over. You need to get down on this little middle piece that I'm pointing at here. To jump over to the other side. Because if you jump from the top here, there's actually a lot of stuff right above us, and there's a very high chance you're gonna bonk on it. Plus, it's a little further away, so the jump is also harder to make. But most likely you're gonna hit your head on the metal that is right above us. So, try to get on the beam here, and then jump as far as you can on over to this side. Now, should you not make this gap over, it's actually faster to just continue down this path, which is the normal way into Maker's End. So, if you do fail the jump, just continue on and start the fight for normal, instead of backing it up by going back there. And then, when you're over here, you don't want to jump over this metal beam, and then you want to land down there. Now, it's very important that you want to try to kill this guy that is kind of crouched in front of the Deathbringer. Because if you kill him before the cutscene starts, it's actually gonna skip the cutscene and just put you immediately in the fight without you having to manually skip the cutscene. So jump over the beam here, aim in before you land, and then kill him. And as you can see, the cutscene didn't even start and we're already in the fight here. Ready to go. Back here at the start of the skip into the Maker's End again. I just want to show, in case you were to jump up here and then accidentally overjump and land on the other side. You cannot jump up from the backside of this thing, but if you go around and jump on top of it, you can get back on the beam. Also, if you have a hard time kind of managing your jump up to that beam, just keep in mind, if you have the skill learned that slows down time when you're aiming in midair, you can kind of easier control your fall to make sure you're standing correctly before you jump up here. So here again, I'm just going to try to show the skip again here at full speed. So you get off your mount, jump up on the left side of these rocks. Then you're going to get to this wall, jump up here, make sure you're on the beam, keep your camera parallel. Then continue up here, get down to the smaller platform there, and try to jump as far as you can. Jump over the middle beam and try to kill the guy there before the cutscene starts. And you're right into the fight. This is right here after the fight at Maker's End, right before you enter. It's just a very important thing I want to point out here when you enter the mountain here. Or, sorry, enter Maker's End here. So as soon as you enter, skip the cutscene, and then you want to go to the elevator shaft here. Do not go down the elevator shaft until the synthetic voice has started to talk. Because if you go down too early, before the synthetic voice has started talking, the game will softlog and not let you finish the quest, even if you play it through to the end. So make sure the synthetic voice is talking before you jump down the elevator shaft. But just wait a second until she starts, and then you can move down. Then continuing on, we're going to do a little skip to kind of skip 2 floors inside the building here. So you just want to move on here till you get to the statue room here with the Deathbringer. And what you want to do is jump up on the platform here on the left, then jump on this leg, on the left leg here, in between these two, and then on top of the Deathbringer. We're gonna jump up here and then kinda in this little spot here with the leg, where this thing is kinda sticking up on the leg. Let me see if I can point it. There. So jump up here, jump on the leg, top of the Deathbringer, and then you can jump across to skip 2 floors of the building. Then you can continue onwards like that. So right here, I'm just gonna show you again at full speed. You're gonna roll in here to the Deathbringer statue here, jump on its left leg, and on top of it, and then you can jump across and move on. So here for the Revenge of the Nora, there's a way to complete all the quest objectives before you even start the quest. Now what this allows you to do is take a faster route to where the camps are. So normally you would go to the left here, continue over that bridge and head to the starting point of the quest. So you would continue to the left and go up to here. But instead we are taking the right path that's going to lead us to the camps, which is around this, around where this marker is. Now there are some downsides to doing this, which I'm going to be explaining here once I get to the camps. But the benefit is not only you get faster to the camps, which saves you roughly 15 seconds, but the other benefit is also that you won't have to deal with the RNG of having the Nora tribe helping you with the camps. Because when you go through the camps, the Nora tribe will normally be there and try to help you with killing the enemies. However, having them there can put the enemies on random positions and force the enemies to move around. Whereas when you do it solo, all the enemies are pretty much going to be in the same spot every time. So when you get to this point right here, make sure you get enough to the left to activate the campfire. That is right here on the left. Not loaded in right. There it is, because you're going to be using that to fast travel back to here after you are done with the ring of metal. So very important to remember to activate that campfire by going slightly off the road to the left. And then when you get to the camps, you just clear them using whatever strategies that you are personally using.
I'm ready.
Let me just quickly kill this camp here. Also very important, as you know, make sure they don't go for the alarm. And right there, that's the first camp clear. Now notice over at the objective where it says the Grave-Hoard and go to the Grave-Hoard. Normally, since the quest isn't active, normally it would still pop up and say completed camp 1 out of 3. Now, since you haven't started the quest, it won't do that. Meaning that you have to know that you have killed exactly every single enemy at the camp before you can move on. Because it's not going to tell you that you have done it. So doing this trick will require you to know exactly where every single enemy is at the camp and knowing that you have killed all of them. Because if you accidentally leave the camp and you have accidentally
Quick way down.
left a guy alive or something, once you leave the camp, all the enemies will respawn in again and you would have to do the entire thing over. So make sure you have killed every single enemy at the camp before moving on. Since the quest is not active, that's why they respawn. But if you clear all of them, they won't respawn, because then the camp count is completed. Also, as a note, if they hit their alarm and extra enemies spawn, you will have to kill them as well. Another thing that is very important to keep in mind is if you die during any time of the Revenge of the Nora, at any of the camps or in Ring of Metal, since you haven't started the quest, there's no checkpoints. So dying here is very risky because you would have to start the entire thing over again, because the game won't have recognized that you have cleared the camps. So it's very important to not die. So use this use this at your own risk. But as I said, it's only 15 seconds faster to do it this way, but it also takes away the RNG of the Nora and making the camps a lot more consistent. So right here, after you cleared the third and final camp here, you're going to be on the way to the tallest tower, where the Ring of Metal part is going to start. Now you can see here Sona and Valve have spawned in, and they will do that as long as you have cleared all the camps. If you get to this point and Sona and Vala is not here, that means you missed an enemy at one of the camps, and you did not clear all of them. And remember, as I said, if you leave a camp with an enemy alive, all the enemies at that camp is gonna respawn. So keep that in mind. So right here, after we have completed the Ring of Metal, we skip through this cutscene, and then you wanna fast travel back to the campfire that you activated before you started the first camp. Now, since you haven't started the quest, you actually still have to start the quest, but you can do that after you've completed all the objectives. And since you already have completed all of them, that means as soon as you start it, the quest is instantly gonna complete for you. So you go to the campfire and go up this hill to where the quest normally starts. And then of course save at the campfire. Accidentally got on the mount there. You don't want to do that. But save at the campfire, and that's gonna start the quest. And as you will see here, as soon as you get through the opening dialogue here, it's gonna pop up on screen saying main quest completed, Revenge of the Nora. There we go. And then you are free to move on from here. Now, you might think that after completing all the objectives, you could simply move on and continue the game without it.
Time to fight.
But you still have to start and technically finish the quest like I just did here. Otherwise the game will softlock when you get to the Curse of the Darkness quest, which is the Eclipse Base. And you won't be able to start it. Also, if you return back to here because you accidentally forgot to start and finish the quest here, the quest will no longer be here and the game is actually completely softlocked. So again, do this trick here at Revenge of the Nora at your own risk. It only saves 15 seconds and takes away some RNG. So if you don't think you're capable of doing this as a new runner, maybe wait out on implementing this trick into your runs. So inside Grave-Hoard here, there's a few things back to back here. So and they are coming very quickly after another here. So I'll try to go slow first here. Now, as soon as you open this door, it's very important that you do not pick up that power cell right there, because you're going to be using the power cell in a different spot. In case you don't know, the power cell inside the Grave-Hoard actually spawns at 3 different locations, all which are on the way before the Deathbringer. And we're going to use the very last spots it spawns at to cut off some dialogue. So make sure you do not pick it up here. Now, continue along here, where you have to go through all these enemies.
They're not looking for answers, just weapons.
And then we're gonna do a little skip here to avoid all the climbing that are normally here. So you wanna be standing right here, and then you wanna jump on the left side of the wall. Make sure you hug in the wall, so you can hit those small spots alongside the wall here. And allows you to get up here without having to jump over and climb around the spot. And then you can simply jump over here and continue on. Also a reminder, do not pick up the power cell which spawns down here, which is the second location it spawns at, because we're going to be using it at the third location. You can simply jump over here and continue onwards into the main room there. Also, a thing I just want to quickly point out here while we're at it. Should you fail jumping on the side of the wall here, don't panic, it's not a big deal. Let's say you fall down all the way down here to the water. you can simply go here next to where the second power cell location is, and it's very easy to just jump up here. Doesn't lose too much time to mess it up, but just know that there is a way to quickly back it up should you fall down.
They're still looking.
So here is another thing. As soon as you start the conversation here by using this panel, you are going to have a conversation with Silence, and that door down there is the door to the Deathbringer. Now that door is not going to open until the dialogue with Silence has ended. So let's start the dialogue here. Now the dialogue is going on with Silence. Then you can simply move on here to the room here on the left, where the last power cell location is. Now notice, as soon as you pick up the power cell here, it's going to cut off Silence, and Aloy is going to start a different dialogue.
I wonder what it's for.
Now what this does is it ends the dialogue early and also unlocks the door, as you can see. And that simply allows you to get inside the Deathbringer room without having to wait for Silence dialogue to end. And now the last skip here, which is right here at the end, or as soon as you open this door, there's a way to get down to the level of the Deathbringer without taking any falling damage. So what you want to do here is, as soon as you open the door, you want to aim in with your blasting at the floor, and then shoot out the floor before the cutscene starts. Now that is going to take away the floor while the cutscene is going on, and since the cutscene places you on that floor, you're simply going to start falling during the cutscene, and since your fall started during a cutscene, you cannot take falling damage from it. So as soon as you open the door, you can hold L2 to aim in. So open here, start holding L2 and R2, and then release it at the floor before the cutscene starts. And then as soon as you skip the cutscene here, you will notice that you are falling, and when you hit the ground, you wouldn't have taken any falling damage at all. And then you can start the fight. Now keep in mind though with the last trick there, that since you are falling to the ground floor, you are immediately thrown into the fight with the Deathbringer and the 5 human enemies that are around here. So keep that in mind. If you are a new runner, maybe hold a little bit off on using this skip. But again, because it does require a little bit of practice to complete this fight when you do this trick. So keep that in mind. Again here, I just want to show it again at full speed. So if you're doing any percent, you can easily loot all these things, but make sure you don't pick up the first power cell. So let's go. So again, continue through here. You can roll past all these enemies. Even on any difficulty, you shouldn't have any trouble with these guys. Then when you get to this spot, jump on the left side here and make sure you're hugging the wall while you jump up the side of it. Then you can jump across and get in here. And you want to, as soon as possible, start the conversation with Silence here. Then continue on to the third power cell location. And pick up the power cell to cut off the dialogue. And then immediately move to the fight. As soon as you open the door here, aim in at the floor and release the blast link before the cutscene starts. And immediately into the fight. Alright, so here in Eclipse Base, this is the first section where the Watchers and the Longlegs are. So you want to get up to this point here. We're going to use this like branch that is sticking out to get up there. What you want to do is jump up to this part of the branch and get on the second part of the branch, and you can jump up here instead of having to take the normal zipline route. Now the thing is, you cannot be standing too long here on the second part of the branch, so you have to jump up here and then immediately jump further ahead. Now it does help to hold the camera parallel here with the wall, just like it did in other spots. But you can do it without it. But just holding the camera parallel here seems to help it a lot. And make it a little easier. So now for the skip to get over the gate here at the Eclipse Base here. So normally you would have to kill all the enemies here so you could push down that tree and get over. Now you can actually get over this gate. So what you want to do is jump on top of this torch. Jump on top of this torch. Jump up to this little branch that is sticking out, and then further up to the next branch, and then you can jump over the wall. Now normally you can't just jump on the torch here because the torch is just slightly high enough, So you need a little bit of elevation. What I personally do is I use this rock. So I run onto this rock, and when I get to this point, I can jump high enough to get on it. If I with the running momentum. You can also use the log on the floor here, but I personally like to use the rock because it has a slightly bigger surface area to jump from. So you're gonna do something like this. Get on this. As soon as you jump on a torch, you can jump over. And when you get over the wall, it's very important you land here on... This is the left side, but obviously the right side coming from the gate. Because if you land too far on the left here, let's say over here, you're not going to hit a small trigger that is right here where the tree normally is. That is going to trigger some conversation down at the tallneck. So make sure you land on the right side. You'll know you have done it correctly if this conversation with silence and dialogue start. Silence and alloy starts once you get to this point. As you can see, it did. So if the dialogue doesn't start, you can quickly back it up by simply going back to where the gate is and make sure you stand here in the right side of the road. And then you will hit the trigger for the dialogue. And now let me just show it quickly again at full speed. Good thing is, as soon as you kill yourself, you can actually restart this skip over. It's very easy to practice simply by killing yourself every time you complete the every time you actually complete the gate skip here. Because it is a trick that does require a good amount of practice, because it's a fairly precise jump. As soon as you get to here, you actually want to kill this guy next to the gate. You don't have to, but it helps. So simply jump on top of the torch and get over here. And continue on. And just to point out, the reason why I killed that guy that was closest to the gate is because he shoots small bombs at you. So if you accidentally fail to skip once, he's gonna start shooting bombs towards the gate, and when they explode they can push you off the gate while you attempt to skip. So just a quick way to back up the gate jump here, in case you do not jump onto the torch and you actually overshoot and land behind it. There's a way to back it up, is to jump on this little thing here. It is a little hard, but then you want to jump back onto the torch and up here. The backup can be a little harder than the regular way, so even if you find this difficult to do this backwards jump onto the torch, another way to back it up is simply just quickly go back and try the rock jump again. But keep in mind the enemies are gonna start to shoot bombs at you and towards this gate here. So if you fail it a couple of times, it might make it really hard to do it again. But yeah, the backup is simply to jump on this thing and then back onto the torch. So here at the start of Zero Dawn, before you drop down, there's a faster way to get down rather than having to take the long climbing path all the way down. So what you want to do is you want to roll off this so you land in between these first two pillars. You can also drop down here from the first pillar if you want, but dropping down between the two pillars is what I personally consider the safest and fastest way of doing it. So it's very important that you land right in the middle of those two, otherwise you can slip off to the right and the left and take enough falling damage to die. So it's very important you kind of line yourself up so that you are in line with the two pillars there when you roll off. And then you're gonna land in between the two pillars, allowing you to roll down to this spot and then roll down to the door. So here, just a little quick short way of doing it a little faster. So remember, if you're a New Game Plus, you can zoom in with your weapon to kind of slow down your descent. So simply jump. So the way you would do it is simply jump off here and then kind of zoom in so you can kind of control your descent going down in case you have trouble getting it the other way. So inside Zero Dawn here, after you have killed these three guys with the cannons, you want to go down here to unlock the door. Now normally you have to do both the puzzle on the left first, that unlocks the door so you can get upstairs and get the emitter to repair the second one. But you can actually get the emitter early by going here towards the back, and then you want to jump up so you stand in between this spike and this thing on the wall here. Because that actually clips you slightly through the floor, allowing you to grab the emitter that is right above. It can take, as you can see, the prompt kind of pumps up when you stand on top of the two. But it can take a little bit to find the correct spot you need to jump in. You can also jump over it, so keep that in mind. But yeah, jump up and basically you can just spam triangle to pick it up. As soon as the prompt comes up, Aloy is gonna grab it. And then you can simply repair the second puzzle and complete it. And that would unlock the door, without having to do the second puzzle and go upstairs. So a little later on in Zero Dawn, as soon as this big door opens, there's 4 enemies behind this door. You do not have to kill any of them. But there's a small skip you can do here on the left side as soon as this door opens. You want to jump up here on this little box, then you can jump on this stuff here on the side, allowing you to jump up here, stand on this small little spot here. You are gonna fall off, as you can see, you cannot stand on it, so you have to be quick about it. Jump up here and then jump up here to the catwalk instead of going over to the staircase and go up here. Doing this trick perfectly only saves 5 seconds, so it is a trick that requires a good amount of practice before you do it in runs. Because failing it just 2 times or something like that will eliminate any time save you would have from simply doing it the normal way. So keep that in mind. So if you're not comfortable with it, just take the staircase and go up here. Doing it perfectly only saves 5 seconds. And also another thing to keep in mind here is, since you don't have to kill those 4 enemies is going to be standing next to you and of course trying to shoot you. So you will take some damage here, so keep that in mind as well when you consider using this trick. And again, a little later on here on the catwalk here, normally you have to continue onward and go through the entire room of enemies downstairs. But it just so happens that right here, the door to the next area is actually right underneath us. So we're going to use this pillar thing here to actually get over it. Now, you want to line yourself up so you jump up to this spot right here that I'm pointing at. And then continue up over here, and then you can get over the top of the fence. You cannot jump up on the side here, so you have to line it up so you're kind of in between this little thing here and this little thing here. Is what I use to line it up. Because then you can easily jump up here, so now you're on top of it, allowing you to jump over the fence.
Looks like we're introduced.
And then of course, simply go through the door here and continue on. And the next thing you can do is right here with this Hades guys, instead of going around the block here, you can simply jump over him and cut the corner here.
Now, I know what you think.
And then the last thing here is, normally you have to go all the way over to that staircase to get up there. But using this here, you can get up to the catwalk here early. So simply jump off on to this spot here, and then on top of it, and then jump over. Now the important thing here is try not to bang your head when you jump, because if you bang your head you might miss the jump, but you can very quickly get around it and jump up here again. So this is going up to All Mother where the Thunderjaw fight is. You want to get off here right after that big push here and be at this spot here. Now what this skip does is it allows you not only to get faster to the Thunderjaw, only by a little bit though, but also having to skip going through all the machines that are on the normal path up to the Thunderjaw. So what you want to do here is jump on these rocks here, so you get up to this spot, and then continue up the side of the mountain here, like I'm doing. Be careful, there's a lot of things you can get stuck on if you're rolling up the side. Jump on this path here, and then the little last tricky part here is when you get to this spot. What you want to do is you want to jump up to this and then try to run up the side of the wall, and then jump run up the side of the wall, allowing you to jump up to the next spot here. So get on this, roll, jump a little bit, so you get to this spot here. As you can see, you're kind of slipping off the mountain here, so get up here, and then you get up here, and right there is the Thunderjaw fight. So again here I just want to show it at full speed, so when you get to the spot, jump up these rocks here, and then you want to go up to this point. Again, be very careful you don't get stuck on anything, as it's very easy to do while rolling. And when you get to this spot, you want to jump on top of this little snow tile here, so you can run up the side. And that allows you to get up to the Thunderjaw. And a little tip here, do not hit the Thunderjaw. Just simply go towards it, making him turn around. If you hit him, there's a chance he's gonna run to watch you. And that's always gonna place him in the same spot. Had you shot him a little bit beforehand, he would actually sometimes move all the way over to the backside there. But simply just going behind his back is gonna place him in the same spot every time, making a more consistent fight. And here's just a small little thing in Pitchcliff during the Borderlands quest. Right after you have examined the body here, you can get a quick road out of town by going down here. Now what you want to do is you want to jump on this roof, and jump on that pillar right there, and jump to the fence, and off and off you go. So you want to land on this one right here. Be careful you can't fall off. The way to back it up is simply to jump back on the middle beam here, and then you can jump back on it. Then get on the fence and make sure you land here and not in the water, because if you land in the water, that is far enough to take the falling damage. And if you have parked your mount right here, you can simply start moving along towards the workshop immediately. So this is inside GAIA Prime, right before the first hologram. Now I'm going to show you a little bit of a complicated skip that basically allows you to shorten the time it takes to get through both of the holograms in here. So as soon as you start the first hologram, you want to turn around and move on. Move back to the starting area of GAIA Prime. Now the first hologram is actually running in the background. You don't actually have to be in the room. You don't actually have to be in the room for it to keep going. So therefore it allows you to get to the second hologram before the first hologram finishes. So technically right now it doesn't matter how fast you go, you just need to get to the second hologram before the first hologram ends. And you have a good amount of time to do that. So right here at the elevator shaft, you want to jump up here so you have a clear jump, and then jump all the way, hugging the wall there, and she will grab onto that one. But yeah, keep in mind, it doesn't matter how fast you go, you have a very generous time to make it back, or make the first one ends. So right here is the hardest part of the trick. You're gonna have to do a little bit complicated skip here in order to get up to the second hologram. We're gonna grab onto those climbing spots on the other end, which is just high enough so you can't reach them. Because the game devs obviously didn't intend you to be able to get the second hologram beforehand. So what you want to do here with this skip is you want to first jump up here in this little gap, and then turn around so you jump onto this pillar here at the end. And then make sure you jump far enough here. Again, don't worry, you still have plenty of time to make it to the second hologram. Nope. As I said, this trick, or this skip here, is a little tricky. And then when you get up here, you want to jump on this little bended beam and onto this plate here. Then you want to slightly turn around just so you have enough room so you can get a little bit of running momentum to make it up here. And then jump onto here and make sure you can jump across here and grab onto the top one of the two climbing spots there. If you grab onto the bottom one, you will take some falling damage. And then you can continue on to the second hologram. As you can see there, I did this very slow, but you can hear the music from the first hologram is still going on. So you still have time to make it to the second one here. Because then you're gonna hit here, skip the cutscene, and start the second hologram.
The air rushed in
If you did that before the first hologram finished, you have done it correctly. And now you just have to wait for the first hologram to finish. So look at the top left corner where it says view the hologram. And right there, it got crossed over, and now it's gonna say talk to silence. Because now the first hologram has ended. As you can see, there was a very generous time there. If you did it perfectly, you would have to wait a little bit longer for it to happen. But basically, as soon as the text gets crossed over, you can hit pause and restart from save. Now what this does is it affects the checkpoints, because the first hologram is finished, and that's going to set your checkpoint to right where the first hologram started. Because you have to talk to silence after each of the holograms. So right here, talk to silence.
She doesn't. If it
And as soon as the conversation is over, and you have seen that little, very small loading screen there, you restart from save again, and then your checkpoint is set back at the second hologram. Now keep in mind, it only works if you get to the second hologram before the first one ends. And then you're gonna be here, and then you just have to watch the second hologram, effectively cutting off a good amount of time you would have spent in here. Now right here I just want to explain how you get these get this skip to the second hologram in a little bit more detail, where I am not pressured on time. So again, you want to jump up to this rock, which is kind of in between that little wire thing sticking down here and that little spike there. So get to this spot here, and then you want to try to aim your cameras in a way so you make sure you hit that thing sticking out here on this wall, or this thing sticking out here, because you're going to be able to stand on that. This is a tough trick, so I do recommend practice this a little bit before you try to pull it off in runs. So stand here and then try to jump onto that. As you can see, a little bit too much there. And you want to find a spot where you can stand on it. As I said, it's tough to do, but obviously in a run you can fail it. I would say you could probably fail it like 3 or 4 times before you have to start worrying about time, since you do have to wait for the first hologram. But yeah, now I'm actually up to the point where I'm standing on it, and then I want to jump over to this thing sticking out here. Make sure you have a little bit of running motion, otherwise you're probably not gonna have enough momentum to get over here. Then you can jump on to this point. The camera will be stuck on some things here, so... And then jump out to the curved beam here on the right. Again, it's another thing that kind of slips you off. And that allows you to get on this plate. And on the plate here, you just want to get a little far back. Make sure you don't move too much, otherwise you can fall down to the beginning. Just so you have enough room to kind of start your running animation and jump up there. And I didn't do it correctly there. I guess didn't good enough. But again, get on the plate here. Get a little bit back so you can get some running momentum to get up here, and simply jump on this and jump on this rock. And again, you want to aim for the second lowest climbing spot here. If you grab onto that one, it's not too bad. It's obviously a little slower because you have to climb further, but also you will take a little bit of falling damage if you hit that one instead of that one. But just try to aim for that one when you jump across here. And then you can climb up to the second hologram. Now, there is a second method of getting to the second hologram, which I just want to show off, so you can kind of practice both and figure out which one you prefer the most. I personally prefer the first one, but I just want to show off the second one for you to use in case you like that one better for your own runs. And keep in mind, time doesn't matter, you just have to get to the second hologram before the first one ends. So it doesn't matter which one is fastest, just pick the one you prefer. Now, you want to get down here, and then jump out to this little rock here. And then you want to make a hard jump around this one, so you land up there. It's a little tough, because this hitbox is a little bigger than you would expect. So, it can fail like that. I think I jumped a little too far around it, maybe. Again, I prefer the other one, but so I'm not as good at the second one here, but I'm just trying to show it off here, so bear with me. Plus these rocks, you're obviously not meant to stand on them, so they can be a little hard to work with here if you're not used to what you're supposed to do, like me right now. There we go, so now we're up here. And then you want to jump along the side here. As you can see, you can jump along here, but keep in mind you do not have that much space, so you kind of have to face yourself into the wall in order to make sure you don't fall off. It can be tricky, and I failed it there, but it is possible. Let me see if I can get it here. I personally find it a little bit more tricky, that's why I do the other way. But again, maybe you're a lot better at the second one here than I am. here, we made it to here. You jump around here, and then you get to the climbing spots here. Like that. Again, it's a little tricky. Obviously, I'm not that good at it because I personally use the other one. But maybe you can get a lot better here at the second one. So pick whatever you prefer to do the skip here at GAIA Prime. Now, here is a Blaze skip, which is doing the Dervahl Attack mission, The Sun Shall Fall. So this one is going to be a little tricky to explain, and it's not a skip that you will get in every single run you do. So here it goes. You start the cutscene here, and then you jump on this things here on the side, so you can get upstairs. Now you want to stand here next to this door. As soon as he says shut up, you want to press triangle, and then move to the second barrel here. And I didn't get it here, but the thing is, as soon as he said I'll shut up, you can hit triangle there for a very short, pretty much 2-frame window. You have to press triangle. You can technically spam triangle if you found that easier, or you can try to time it. And then as soon as she is done opening the door, you wanna... I personally hold my analog stick to the southeast, I guess you would say. And then you can try to time the triangle and pop for the blaze. Again, the blaze is also another 2-frame window to hit. So it's very hard to do. And obviously you have to hit the angle right and the triangle prompt, which makes the second input here for the trick a lot harder. And this, by the way, skips the dialogue between Aloy and Erend here on the top of it, saving around 20 seconds. So let me see here if I can get the Blaze skip here for the video. Skip the cutscene and get upstairs. And then you want to stand at the door and time your triangle input when he's done saying shut up.
Alright, I'll shut up.
And then hold analog kind of southwest and then hit triangle there. Right there I got Blaze skip. As you can see, it skipped the dialogue and immediately started the cutscene, and you can move on to the rest of the quest. Now keep in mind, you can either try to time your triangle inputs, or you can just try to spam triangle as fast as you can. It's a very hard trick. As I said, it's only like a 1 to 2 frame window you have to hit those triangle prompts. So don't expect to get this in every single run, and also don't expect to ever get somewhat consistent at it, because it is very tough and you have to really time it. Time it properly, because you really only have a very short window for it. But again, one thing I just want to point out, it doesn't lose any time to try and get it, or to try to go for it in a run, so go for it every time, and then if you get it, it's just a nice bonus. But you don't lose any time if you mess it up. So a little later on here in the quest, as soon as you come out here, there's a small skip you can do. Go down here and activate this cutscene, skip it, and then you want to turn around and jump up these rocks here on the side, allowing you to get up here. Basically skipping the entire climbing path, and then jump down to this lock, and you can move on here to the ladder here. Make sure you hit the lock, because if you accidentally fall off to your death, you obviously die and are sent all the way back. Now you would think you could just avoid activating the cutscene there, but the cutscene trigger unfortunately extends all the way up to where you're doing the skip. So activate it first and then do the skip, because if you activate the cutscene during the skip, you are sent back down. So just keep that in mind. So a small little skip here right before the final fight with the Hades Deathbringer here is when you get to here, you normally have to climb around all this stuff here, but there's a way to do it a lot faster. You want to jump on the railing here, and then you can jump on the middle thing here. You have to be standing on this place. If you stand too far on the right here, you will simply fall off. And be careful and jump on the railing to make sure you actually land on the middle here, instead of grabbing onto the climbing spots. And then once you're here, you'd simply want to be running and jump towards the right side here. If you jump too far to the left, she will grab onto this and you would have to climb up, costing you a little bit of time. Let me just simply show it again here in full speed, just so you have an idea of what it looks like. Get on the railing, jump in the middle, and then jump on the right side there. And then simply move on to the end and beat Hades. So now we're gonna move into the Frozen Wilds, where the first skip is at the very start of the Frozen Wilds here, with the first climbing path here. So you just want to continue the climbing path here like normal. And then when you get to the spot up here where you're gonna cross over the gap here, you want to climb up to
Surprised you're still checking up on
this
me.
spot right here, then hit square to let go of the cliff so you can stand right here. And then you want to turn around and jump over to this catwalk over here.
Rost used to tell me stories about the Banuk and their shamans.
And that is just faster than completing the climbing
Kinda like
path.
someone else we know, huh?
And now the second skip is right away,
The real reason you want me to stay
where you go up here
is to stay
and make your way through these rocks. And then you can roll off the side of the snow here. That is skipping the entire climbing path that was on the normal path on the right. Plus, as you can see down there, is the Scorcher that spawns at the start of the Frozen Walls. On Ultra Hard, you kind of want to avoid him, because he can do a lot of damage, and he also chases you all the way up. So simply doing this path is going to avoid him, plus it's a good amount faster here. And then you just simply continue through here, and then there's a climbing path right here, up to where the Frozen Walls begin. So on the path here to the Shaman's path, there's going to be a little skip here to basically get up to the cave faster. So basically right up the side of the mountain like you normally would. And then right when you get to this spot here, you can jump up these cliffs instead of having to go around the left side. It's fairly self-explanatory, and you will easily be able to figure out how to do that simply by trying it once yourself. So now inside the cave here at Shaman's Path, the next skip is going to be right around the corner here, where we are going to get upstairs early, up to this thing, so you don't have to go around the back and use the path to get upstairs. We're going to get up the side of the cliff here. So what you want to do is jump on this little spot here. You kind of slide off, but right here, and jump further up till you get to this point, where you can continue to jump along. Next part is a little tricky because you have to jump around. It's a little more tricky because you have to jump around this ice sticking out, so just be careful, and then you can jump up here and you're upstairs early. So right here in the Shaman's Path, this is where the stalkers are, a little further on. So what you want to do here is, normally there's a stalker right here. I just killed him so I can show this off. But you want to get up there as fast as possible without having to risk taking any unnecessary damage from that guy. Plus, he can also hit you in a way that puts you on the floor and then immediately hit you again, which can actually kill you if you're playing on the hardest difficulty. So the way you want to do it is, when you get to this point here, you want to jump up these. You want to jump on top of this ice, jump to that point, then you can jump slightly around there, and then you're over. You're going to do that in quick succession, and that means you never have to go past the stalker. And like that, you're up here. The next thing here is with this first bridge that is kind of tilting by the water. You can actually get across here without the bridge needing to be up. So you can jump over here. There's a very small hitbox you can land on here, just underneath this bush, allowing you to continue without having to worry about if the bridge is up or down. And right away, we're gonna go straight into the next skip here, because as soon as you get over here, there's a skip to get over to this island early, instead of having to drop down and climb up and hit the leather. So instead, what you want to do here is you want to come around here, and then when you get to this gap here in the walking path, you want to jump onto this bolted ladder, and then immediately jump onto it, jump across to here, and then jump again. Because the reason why you want to jump immediately is because it's gonna try to push you off. It can be a little tricky here, or you're gonna try to slip you off. Let me just line it up a little better, like this, and then jump immediately once you land right there on the island, because again, it's not a place you can stand on for very long. And then you're over here and you can interact with it to activate the bridge and get over. Of course, should you fail this little skip to get to the island early, it's not a big deal. You're just gonna fall down there and go around and take the normal path. So right here, this is right after you have passed the frost claw that is next to the control tower. So as soon as you get up here, normally you have to use a climbing path here, but instead you want to use the environment here to get up a little faster. So jump onto here and then try to get on top of this rock, and then you can jump up here, skipping the first climbing path. Second one, slightly easier. You just want to jump up to this point and then you're up here. And then you can continue up the rock sides here to get to Ourea's retreat.
This must be the shrine Elkjaer was talking about.
There's a lot of things you can get stuck on here, so I do recommend jumping instead of rolling too much.
I better take those stairs.
And once you're up here, you have completed the Shaman's path.
An ancient door. Maybe Ourea is inside.
So now we are halfway through Ourea's retreat. We have just unlocked the big door with the puzzle, and now we're outside again. So this is a skip that will help you avoid having to go all the way around this path here. What you want to do, continue along here. And as soon as you get up here, you want to go to these rocks here. Then you want to jump up this side. These rocks are, again, not easy to stand on here, so make sure you, as you can see, you kind of want to be on top of this very narrow space here. And then once you're on top of it, you want to jump over here, so you get up here and stand on this. And then you have to jump around this, I guess, concrete wall here and land on that path there. There we go, and then you're outside the door there. I was a little slow, but again, with practice you can do that really fast. So right here at the end of the second challenge here in the Werak challenge, you want to, of course, send off the balloon here. Instead of taking the zipline down, you kind of want to go down this side here and be careful not to take fall damage. Make sure you hit something on the way down. Now normally you go to the right there and take down the zipline to the free frost claw fight. But getting down here and then hitting that trigger or going towards this cliff there is actually a big checkpoint trigger for the fight. So all you basically need to do is get down here and then simply roll towards where the fight takes place. And as you can see, we skip into the fight like that. And that's just a lot faster than taking the normal ride down. And very simple and easy trick to pull off. This is at the very start of Firebreak here. As soon as you get to this crane, you want to jump on it here and then you can get up here. And now there's a jump you can do to actually get over there instead of climbing around. So what you want to do is jump on this thing and then further up onto this kind of thing sticking out here. Be careful alot doesn't grab onto the climbing spot there. And then get as far back as you can as possible. Turn around, jump, and then you'll make it over like that.
I'll go quietly.
Now, I want to emphasize that trick right there is actually a pretty hard trick to pull off, and it doesn't save that much time. So I will say you need to practice this a good amount before you start implementing it into your runs. Since, as I said, it's not easy to get and it doesn't save that much time. So keep that in mind before you do it in runs. And just right away, there's actually the very next skip is in this room here. You can just ignore the enemies. You want to jump on the railing here on the side, and that allows you to jump over there without having to use the ladder. So right here on your way to the production area, you're going to come across this big fire vent. Now, there's a way to actually just straight up get through it without having to go over it, using the cars that are flying around, or boxes, whatever you call them. It does require a very precise timed long roll jump. So what you want to do is kind of run towards it, towards the middle here, and then do a long roll jump, kind of like a second before you actually get pushed by it. And then when you roll far enough into it that it is actually going to push you through here to the other side. And then once you're on the other side, instead of taking the normal way up to the spot where you have to override, you can go over here to this thing where you can simply jump up the side of it. Oh. Like this. And then you get up to the override spot here early as well. And then the last thing you want to do right here after the roll jump is time a jump here, where you can also jump onto these boxes without, again, having to go down and go to the other jump platform over there. And once you're here, you simply wait until you can override this, even take out the shell walker here if you want to. And for the firewall or the fire event we just went through, it is possible, there is a technique to do it without the long roll jump, but it's much easier to do with the long roll jump, so make sure you just have that as an ability if you're doing the Frozen Wilds runs here. So after the fight here in the production area, after you've killed the machines, you need to get across here, so you can override and activate that bridge for Ourea and Attack 9. Normally you would go over here and use that wheel, but there's a much simpler way. If you go around here to the left, there are these pyramids here. So if you jump in between the pyramid on the on this left side and the right side, you can actually jump on top of this pyramid here in the middle and jump up here and across, which is a lot faster than taking the wheel on the other side there. A very small and simple skip, but it's gonna save you a good amount of time. Also, in the room here, if you can finish the fight as close to those pyramids as possible, that's gonna save you even more time. And right after here, after you have gone through the demonic gate, right after we did the last skip, you get to this point here. Now, instead of going all the way to the right and taking the normal path down, you can actually jump down and land on this string of demonic wiring or whatever. So jump up and you can zoom in and make sure you actually land on it, and make sure you zoom in or aim with your weapon both times you land, because then you're not going to be stunned by falling damage and can better control your fall going down.
We need to get across.
And right here inside this big room with all the lava and a bunch of climbing paths all over this place. Now you don't have to do most of it, because there's actually 2 skips, very small and easy skips that's gonna allow you to go through the entire area without having to do all the climbing and activating some of the vents and what have you. So simply when you get to this spot here, you can see the slope wall. You want to run up that wall. Make sure you get enough momentum to run up that wall, and as soon as you start kind of losing your momentum there, as you saw I did towards the end there, you want to hit jump, and then you can jump up here. And as soon as you override this, we're gonna go straight into the second skip of this place here, which works pretty much the same way, by running up these angled walls. So continue along here, and then when you get down here, you can see there's another slope wall here. You can run up, and then you can actually jump up here and grab onto this. And then you are pretty much at the very end of this entire room here, with very little and easy effort put into it. And then you just get up here, kill the watcher that's on the way, and you can simply grab onto these, again, floating boxes or whatever. And the very last thing is at the very end of this, we're just gonna use one of these arms sticking out to basically get down a little earlier, because normally you have to wait till it gets all the way over to the back platform there, but try to line up here so you actually land on this arm that is going to be right beneath me here in a sec. So as soon as you're over it, you just hit square to let go and jump down here, and then you're at the very end of the room, and you can override the bridge and move on to the final part here. So thank you guys for watching this video. That was the last skip of the run, and hopefully you learned something from this. In the description I'll be leaving a link to our Horizon speedrunning Discord, so if you want to join that, where you can stay up to date in case new skips are found, which most likely is going to happen in the future. You can also help find new skips if you have some ideas. It's always helpful. But yeah, like I said, a link to the Horizon Zero Dawn speedrunning Discord will be in the description, as well as a link to the official leaderboards for Horizon Zero Dawn speedrunning, which is on speedrun.com/hzd, where you can find all the current records and guides, full guides for any of the speedruns, and you can even post your own times once you have done your first speedrun. It will be very nice to see some new guys on the leaderboard, so hopefully you learned something from this so you can perform your own speedrun. And yeah, I'll hope to see your time on the leaderboard soon. Other than that, I'll again thank you guys for watching. It'll be very much appreciated if you leave a like on the video, because it would help more people see it. So in case you do, thanks for that. And yeah, it's been Elkjaer. Thanks for watching. And if you wanna watch me do Horizon Zero Dawn speedruns live, you can go to my Twitch channel as well, twitch.tv/ElkjaerTV. And yeah, I don't really have much more to say, so hopefully you guys have a good day, and good luck with the skips.